people and didn't help, and you didn't offer any help. You didn't offer none of this.
Why didn't you have a look at my wall? Why didn't you look at my wall where everything's shared? Look at the purple pill. Look at the raids. Look at the offers of help I've given. You are absolutely shouting now.
I know.
You're showing how toxic the community is, because I've helped. There's some great people here. I think you're farming Nick now, because Nick is going to send this. He's holding. There's people here pretending they know way more than they do, and you're farming. I know exactly what you're doing now. Nick does that.
I'm going to keep you on stage. I'm going to keep you on stage.
Just get him off, man. We don't
I'm going to keep him on stage.
Yo, do you mind if I Bugs. Do you mind if I chime in for a second here? So let me I don't like drama. I'll tell you that right now.
I shouldn't have sold my
and so is a lot of people up here. But that doesn't mean that you can't head
because
on, which has been talked about over the last couple of days.
I lost half my money. Not even realizing it.
Who get emotional about their bags. They get really committed to the project.
I was hoping it would make it go up for the people.
He believes in the project, and he's emotional about it, and he fucks with it. And I like that, right? I like that, you know what I'm saying? And
but what it caused is it to drop a lot.
I personally sent things.
So that way when it comes back up,
at the end of the day, I'm a fan of Nick. I'm a fan
it goes up a lot. I hope. I mean, I can't even fucking rationalize how much money I just dropped, wasted in shows that I have a negative, but I can't, really. And I have so much negatives keep coming through for no reason, instead of it just releasing the fucking infinity stage where you can't put money in and not watch it increase. Like, this thing is fucking... And everybody's known it ahead of time but me, so... Anything that they say, like, people are listening to books are like, we know what you're doing, farming money out of... you just took all Chris's money, dude. Unless you fucking push that shit right now, whatever you gotta do, sell your fucking shit off, or whatever, we're at war. And they go and hide and run away because they're fucking stealing money, dude. They don't even want to talk now.
Taxpayer more money, but that means we seize a yacht, we sell it, we buy Bitcoin, right? That I was on a previous space with Joe when the news came out, and I kind of put it to him, like, how much money is there in budget neutral dollars available, just on the low side? And he said hundreds of billions of dollars per year. So I think the market's getting this wrong. I think they put a lot of thought into this. And I think they've created a pathway for the government to acquire hundreds of billions of dollars in Bitcoin and do so using the Exchange Stabilization Act, do so using this executive order. Dennis suggested push like hell to get this codified into law. So I'm really excited. I think the market's got it wrong. But
yeah, I really like that statement from Dennis, because I hadn't really thought about that. The executive order, if you look at it just on its own grounds in terms of the relationship to the ability for especially a lot of these states, and Dennis, you'll have to repaint the facts here because it feels like it changes on a daily basis with the number of states, but I know it's over 30 that have been working on legislation and all this. We've had a couple of them not pass muster for whatever reason, I guess. Do you feel like this is going to be a pretty good way to sort of get the things through the finish line on some of these other states, or is it still going to be, sort of some general ignorance that is pervasive in the elderly class that's out there ruling in these governments?
He's
I mean,
asking me to
I
tell
was
him
just
if I
about to
think this is
craft
gonna
up a
make it
tweet.
right.
Was like, if you're selling Bitcoin here,
How
you're
do I
cooked.
know?
Like, I don't know what more you could possibly want out of this administration. As I think dozens of people in this space, the space that I was in before, have already stated that they didn't think that we were even going to get this. And not only are we keeping that confiscated Bitcoin, but as was mentioned, there's now a pathway to be able to purchase Bitcoin in a budget neutral fashion. There are balance sheet strategies that we can use all across the
If
government,
it keeps dropping,
especially
it's
within
because
the
I've got one
ESF, the
locked
Exchange
up.
Stabilization Fund. I think there's roughly $40 billion
If it doesn't
that
keep
currently
dropping,
sits
then
within
that
that
has
fund
nothing to
that
do
can be
with it.
utilized for the purchase of
They're trying to
Bitcoin.
prove it doesn't
So
have
I
anything to do
think
with
people
it.
are really underestimating the potential here.
Keep coming up
Yes,
to
there
prove
is a
it
lot of
for
states
a
that are
long
working on this
time.
legislation across
He
the
ain't got
country.
proven
I
shit
believe
yet.
all in all, there was about 25 states was the official number that had a bill introduction. But some of those states saw multiple bill introductions. In some cases, it was just the companion bill, because you have the House bill, you have the Senate bill, and then those are both essentially tandem efforts, one side or the other. Some states operate that way. Some states typically tend to operate where it's on one side, and then they switch sides. But in a few of these states, we actually saw
He just fucked himself.
lawmakers competing to be the first one to get it done, because they could see just how big of a deal it would be to be the first one. And they saw obviously the social media engagement and the amount of money being thrown around in order to get this across the finish line. So all in all, 25 states, I believe, was the last number. And you had 30 plus bills, if I remember correctly.
Selling
but
what I say.
People
He
need to keep in
didn't.
mind.
He said
Obviously
it
the
could be that
Bitcoin
way,
Reserve
but
legislation is the
he
shiny
got
object
cut.
right
He got
now.
killed.
But a lot of these states are also working aggressively to create digital asset rights, like the right to self-custody, the right to mine, the right to run a node, and peer-to-peer transactions, which are just as important. Obviously we want to see our bags get pumped, so to speak, by the idea of this adoption taking place. But also we want to make sure that our bags are protected and that we can continue to custody our Bitcoin, because if you can't custody Bitcoin, you're just right back in the old system again. So truly incredible, 70 plus bills in total have been introduced at the state level, and this is really just the beginning. But people need to remember, and I'll make this as my last comment before I pass the mic back around, that this is a very important time. There are groups and movements who wait decades to have this type of experience take place at this type of speed, where lawmakers are just doing everything they can to compete, where you have the federal government in alignment, you have states moving the right direction.
We
cannot take this time for granted. It is very important that you continue to push your lawmakers, your regulators, that you continue to support the nonprofits out there that have been fighting so hard to get this type of legislation and executive order across the finish line, because the times can change.
Go all the way up.
Times can change, political momentum can change, the winds can change of politics, and we got to make sure that we get as much as we possibly can codified into law across the states and at the federal government while we have